At our regularly scheduled meetings in January, there was a lengthy discussion regarding the proposed station closings. As a result of these discussions, the members of Local 357 have taken a stance in opposition to the closing of stations 10s and 14s, and the relocating of current apparatus to other stations, stations 9 and 16 respectively. To address the to address the coverage deficiency that was reported by the ISO on the southeast side of town, we feel the proposed changes or closings do not adequately improve any deficiencies on the southeast side of town, while not addressing and possibly creating a larger deficiency on the north side of Evansville. Our opposition in this matter speaks to the reduction of services to current areas while trying to improve services in other areas. One of the proposed recommendations of the Fire Advisory Committee is to relocate the rescue squads to stations 10 and 14. There are safety concerns regarding this move due to the apparatus being staffed with only 2 firefighters. With the uncertainty of how our run totals will change due to the increased medical responses and the annexation, the city should be cautious of making any drastic changes. Without enough data to support any changes, fire station closures should be delayed to allow sufficient time to collect data and evaluate to determine what changes, if any, are needed. This will allow for a long-term plan to be established, allowing for proper changes to occur as necessary. Local 357 recognizes that as the city of Evansville continues to grow, our services and coverage to the citizens of Evansville needs to continue to grow as well. To improve and grow the fire service and coverage for the Evansville requires a financial commitment from the city. With the economic times as they are, we should avoid making changes for the sake of making changes without truly improving the fire service. Thank you.
You mentioned one of the recommendations about keeping the stations open, but just with rescue squads. Why are you folks opposed to that?
Well, the squads, the trucks they want to put there are only assigned with 3 personnel, but 90% of the time they're only a 2-man truck. And a 2-man truck responding would create an unsafe environment for the firefighters.
So if you had a fire nearby, they would
Right,
first respond?
Right. We have only 2 people that can actually respond from that truck. Under the OSHA laws with the 2 in, 2 out, we're creating an unsafe environment.
Paul, this has been an issue on the table for several weeks now. Fire Chief has talked about possible closings. Why did it take the union so long to come out and with its opinion, and make a stand on this?
Well, this is something that was discussed at the last meeting, and that's what was decided on by the membership on what stance we're going to take here.
What brought you to that point? I know this has had a lot of firefighters riled up. What brought you to that point finally?
I think to the point that the committee was not really getting to a satisfactory. I don't think that there was really going to come anything was going to be resolved out of that committee. I think people were willing to maybe step back and see what was going to come out of it, but it doesn't look like any recommendations were going to truly come out that were going to really benefit overall.
And I know prior to all this, you guys tried to be reserved and not give an opinion, the union's opinion. Why is that?
Because we were waiting to see what the outcome was going to be of this committee.
So, Paul, so where do you guys go from here? I mean, you've made your statement, you let people know that you are opposed to these closures. I mean, what's the next step from here?
I honestly don't have an answer for you on that one. I mean, because it's still going to come back down to what the decisions are going to be made by the administration, and that will end up being it.
Have you made your stance known to the fire chief?
Yes.
And what is he saying?
I don't think he's going to comment to me on that.
Have you any idea when that decision's coming down? Have you got a time frame from the chief?
As far as what?
Deciding whether the
committee, the Fire Advisory Committee is still meeting. I think they have a couple more meetings yet, so I guess once they get to the recommendations, that something will come out of that, I would assume.
He says you feel that these changes that have been proposed do not improve services. Can you explain why you feel that the closings, in more detail, the closings and shifts of manpower and things like that will be detrimental to the city?
Well, the point that we're making is that they're saying there's a deficiency on the southeast side of town, but we're not moving anything closer to those areas. And then by moving Station 10, we feel that actually you're going to end up creating more deficiency on the north side of town.
And you guys are basing this on what? Like, how do you guys evaluate all this?
Station locations, distance between 2 stations, the run data, the run volume that they're making. 10s makes a lot of runs, or basically is a supporting company to the north side there. 17s, which is out here on the north side of town, if they make runs, then Station 10 is the one that responds there as a second or third engine company to their territory, and then if they're out of the territory, then obviously trucks from other stations further away will end up making those runs too.
And you said you would like to see some studies done? Can you-
Well, we don't do enough data research. You know, all we really track right now is the first company on the scene, last one to leave. And with the increased EMS responses that the city will be making, due to the new contract with AMR, for the annexation, we don't know what our run totals are gonna be. I mean, we're making moves with anticipation of run volume, but I think we should have some data that would actually support whether it is the right decision or not. And until you get that data, I think you need to take time to step back and then evaluate. Take all those numbers and then reevaluate.
Is there any-
Does the union recommend a new station, say on the southeast side or someplace like that?
Don't really have an opinion on that. Without really sitting down, we would hope that there'd be like a more long-term planning committee, which I know the chief has discussed that, to bring that up. I think you have to look at all of it. I mean, obviously with the financial constraints of the city here, we're building an arena, which, you know, is not exactly the top of everybody's list, and I think money's kind of tied up in that direction.
Is there any fear that firefighters would be laid off if these stations would close?
No, there would not be a reduction in manpower.
You don't fear that,
No.
that will happen?
You supposedly give a letter prior to the council meeting alleging that the union was for supported the closing of the fire stations, and supposedly you signed a letter, came from you. If that was your letter, what changed your stance since that letter was given to now?
Well, just to correct you on your allegedly and
Please.
supposedly.
Where's alleged?
You're totally inaccurate on everything you've made so far.
Okay, go ahead.
So until you have a copy of that letter to read, I'm not gonna ignore your
Okay,
questions or
thank you.
statements right now.
All right, appreciate it.
My question is I know you guys probably have looked into this, but have there been other cities who've actually, you know, did what the chief is, telling you guys to do here, to close stations 10 and 14, and what has been maybe some of the outcome of those changes? Has it been really, I guess, left people who were in those areas, you know what I mean, like the fires took off and then people, you know, there were lots of deaths and that kind of thing. Have you guys kind of looked into those things and brought them to his attention?
No, we have not, no. I mean, you know, the departments have made shutdowns and have relocated due to annexation, things like that. But each one has to be looked at as far as their, you know, their layout of their land and you know, whether or not how it benefits them. Every city is different as far as their layouts, their locations of their stations and such.
But your fear is if you do close these stations, there could be some large problems for the city, correct?
Well, I think we're trying to fix some problems that we do have, but I think by fixing them the way we're doing it, I don't think we're really addressing the total problem. You know, because by moving houses, the relocations, you know, we don't know that the run total is going to justify on the east side of town to put two apparatus in a single house. You know, if the run volume does not increase, then what have they gained, except for just having a louder company there?
What suggestions are you making when it comes to the fire situation in Evansville? Are you guys just saying right now we need to do nothing, we need to wait, we need to study it more? What else are you guys saying? And I know you guys want some more evaluation done, but how long are you suggesting that the city sit back and
Well, my recommendation was a year. I mean, I think that gives them sufficient time to see how if we leave our current situations the way they are as far as our location of our stations, if we leave that for a year, then we can evaluate the runs, see how many runs at Station 9 picks out, which is on the southeast, or the north side of town there by Applebee's, around the Nye Township annexed area. So if we wait a year, but we start doing more in-depth studies as far as our second responses, our second engine companies in, because you know, our run totals have changed a little bit since the new contract with AMR. You know, our trucks may be on scene longer now because they're responding to more EMS runs than they used to. So if those trucks are out on a longer run, then the next territorial company may be coming in, so we're going to see a possible increase in time. We don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but I think it's fair to evaluate that first and see how those numbers have changed versus the anticipation of saying we don't think we're going to see it.
you said you were talking about the ineffectiveness of this fire advisory committee. Why do you think that has been the case?
Well, I think from the very beginning, they had a split board. I mean, they had 4 people that were okay with the changes, 4 that were against it, and I don't think you were going to see a whole lot of swing. And I don't know if there's going to be any great ideas to come out of it that were going to either support the changes, you know, or just totally, I don't think you're gonna see them totally ignore, you know, or totally sway the recommendations that they had previously made. And with the other group that was, you know, against it, you know, I don't think that you're gonna be able to persuade them that it was a good idea of anything, you know, of how to change it. So I think it's best to kind of step back and regroup it and, you know, start using, you know, real facts to make the decisions off of.
And you guys voted on this issue in your last meeting?
It was discussed in the last meeting, yes.
No vote, I guess is it?
We're not gonna discuss what happens inside of our meetings. But it was discussed amongst the membership,
And you guys decided to move forward?
yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.